Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick, and today guys we are jumping down into the charts for Cardano, taking a look at what's been going on most recently and what I would expect to happen next. I'd like to do a big shout out to the Cheeky community, absolutely smashing it at the moment. So if you are not yet actually subscribed, why not go ahead and consider subscribing and join us down in Discord as well. Link in the description down below. It's a fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. It's completely free and I don't think you'll be disappointed by what you find down there. If you find this video useful and informative, hit the like button. Really do appreciate that. Helps spread the content to more like-minded individuals as well. Okay guys, let's waste no more time though. Let's jump down into this, right? So here we have Cardano paired up with USDT on the hourly chart, and Binance is the data source. And when I say Cardano, I really mean ADA, the native token. So let's really take a look at this, right? So here we can kind of see, we had this 5-wave structural move to the downside, where I'm estimating our low 5th wave to be somewhere between 41.23 cent and 42.63 cent. Now, there's a couple of ways of looking at this. I do expect a big surge to the upside to happen. Initially looking at the structure here, I'm expecting a little bit of a pullback first, and before we get into this second wave move upwards. However, it is also possible that maybe our second wave has already started here. And we just can't see it yet because the waves are not as clear as they need to be. So what I mean by this is our third wave could potentially be here with a really, really small fourth wave, and then our 5th wave ending here, meaning that all of that is our wave 1, and then we start to see this move up here as our potential wave 2. That's a possible scenario. So we'll know in due course as to whether or not this structure here is right, with the 41.23 to 42.63 being a good estimate on the low, or whether or not the low's already come in and we're going to move up higher. Confirmation of this will come in if we were to move up higher than 47.5. Basically, it would invalidate the 5th wave lows going down any lower by moving up higher than this. It does mean that essentially our 4th wave is likely to move up higher than our wave 1. Moving above 47.5 doesn't invalidate the 5th wave completely, but it gives us a high probability of invalidation. The true invalidation actually happens up here, and it's set at 48.83. As you can see, we've got 2 dashed lines here. I would not expect to move above 47.5 in this structural move to the downside for the 5th wave. If we do, then I think we've got a high probability of invalidation, which would occur at 48.83 cent as we continue our motion to the upside for wave 2. You might be thinking, why are we so bullish on Cardano when the rest of the outlook of the space is looking a little bit more, bearish? Well, I think Cardano is doing very similar patterns to the rest of the crypto space, but we have to acknowledge there are some differences in some of the source data here. Okay, so wave 2 estimates between 47 and 51.23, right? So we can see that quite clearly. This yellow box area is our estimated second wave. Now, it can go higher, it can go lower, but we are not expecting it to go higher than 52.6, as that would invalidate this entire structural move to the downside. Okay, and we do have some interesting low targets set for this one. So I'm not expecting it to go above 52.6. If it does, we'd have to reconsider everything else that's going on here, and we have a much bigger correction, and it probably puts us right back into play for the 59 cent that we were talking about before. Okay, and obviously if we do drop down lower than this little origin down here, coming in at 42.06, that does confirm that that is no longer possible to move up in that structural move upwards. So, a few things to kind of keep in mind, a few things to kind of consider. There are lots of different numbers to keep in the back of our heads, right? I'm going to call out the major ones though, right? So ideally, if we were to move up higher than 48.83, then we have either completed the 5th wave or we've invalidated a 5th wave down low here. If the price drops down lower than 42.06, it confirms our bearish move to the downside. Okay. However, if the price moves up suddenly higher than 52.6, that would actually invalidate the current structural moves to the downside, and we'd have to reconsider the waves that we've kind of got going on here, as it could be an expanding flat correction. Okay, so a lot of different things to kind of think about, lots of different numbers, but those are the main ones that we're really going to want to focus in on, just to make sure that we're aware of the directional moves for ADA. Now, if we are likely to come up into this high zone and we nail this and we hit somewhere between 47 and 51, essentially that means that we could potentially be ready for that third wave drop to the downside. However, This is the data that's different on Cardano's ADA than many other assets, okay? And it's the stochastic RSI. Now, the stochastic RSI is a momentum indicator. And what this tells us is it shows us the strength of a move. It shows there's a lot of momentum upwards or a lot of momentum downwards, okay? Now, a lot of people can sometimes misread the stochastic RSI. They think that because the stochastic RSI is moving up, there's a lot of momentum there pushing the price higher. That simply isn't true. It's actually the reverse. So what you want to do is, if you're really bullish on a cryptocurrency, you want to see a slow moving stochastic RSI moving from the low side to the high side, okay? Essentially, if you're lower than 20 on the scale, you're oversold, and if you're higher than 80, you're overbought. Okay, so when we see the price move from oversold to overbought fast, which shows there's no momentum behind the price. It means that the momentum isn't there, the sentiment isn't there. Okay, so going from oversold to overbought fast basically tells us that the sentiment is sell, not buy. There's very few buyers at this particular point in time. Okay, so this is really important to understand, and it's important because it's not so much the hourly chart that's really the one that's showing this move upwards. It's actually the daily chart. The daily chart, which is quite a large time frame, okay, if we take a look at things on the daily, you can see that we're just about to enter into the oversold area, which means there's a high probability of reversal, and we're looking for that move upwards, okay, that move towards 47.51 right, somewhere in that yellow box area on our hourly chart. Now, the daily chart here can move fast to the overbought area, okay? And if it does move too fast to the overbought area, it shows us that there's not that many buyers, okay? There's no momentum behind a price. However, if it moves slowly to the overbought area, gradually over the course of a couple of weeks, say, then there's a high probability that we might actually invalidate and actually continue a bullish run within that corrective structure, which again puts back into play that 59 cent. So what we're looking at here is a move upwards is likely. It's very probable that we're going to have a good move upwards. We're at the bottom of a wave count. We've got an oversold daily stochastic RSI, oversold weekly, oversold monthly, oversold 8 hourly. Let me just check. I'm pretty certain it is. Oversold 8 hourly, actually just coming out of here a little bit. But 4 hour needs to come down and the hourly needs to come down. So we're talking about moving down in towards our fifth wave low and then looking for that surge upwards, okay? And basically what we're talking about here is there's enough momentum from our daily stochastic RSI to allow us to slowly kind of work our way back up here. Now, I'm not expecting a sharp move right up there. We hit the price and then we drop right back down. What we need to see is we need to see that oversold stochastic daily up in the overbought area, along with an 8 hour overbought, a 4 hour overbought, okay? So we could look at a week or so of just kind of like slowly working our way up here, not doing anything major, hit this area and then crash down afterwards, okay? But a significant bounce is coming to the upside, in my opinion. If we take this conservative low target of, 42.63, and we were just to move up to, maybe the wave one high just here, for example, you're talking a 14.5% bump on the price of ADA. So a pretty significant area to kind of really think about, maybe, wanting to do some short-term trades or whatever. But I will also say at this point in the video that I'm not a financial advisor. I cannot give you financial advice. All I can do is give you my thoughts and opinions on the data in the charts as I see it. And you should, of course, do your own research and consult your own financial advisor if you have one before making any financial decisions. Nothing in this video should be considered financial advice. You should definitely be doing your own research and come to your own conclusions. So from my point of view, looking at this data, I would be looking at accumulating or entering into trades anywhere really between 41.23 and 42.6, and depending on this wave structure, making sure it's not overextending and dropping down lower, like have good stop losses and risk management around that. But then looking for that surge upwards in line with our daily chart, really taking out this area. Now, if I said earlier, right, if we were to push up higher than 52.6 for Cardano, that does mean that we are basically going to be in a significant surge upwards. So entering down here and seeing a potential theoretical 59 cent or maybe higher could be really, really lucrative, right? So if we, for example, if we just take that higher end of the spectrum here and I were to push this up towards that 59 cent, all of a sudden you're talking maybe about pushing 38% just from, regular kind of trading. That's not including anything kind of risky like leverage trading or anything like that. It's just buy the asset here, sell the asset there, for example, 38%. So there's great money to be made in these kind of swings in the market, right? And sometimes they call it swing trading. I'm just using Elliott wave theory to help me plot out where the directions of the moves are. Now, the other thing you have to consider here, right, is you're going against the trend. Okay, the trend is down. Okay, so we have a macro move that is basically indicating that we have the possibility of moving Cardano to 22.23 cent. So when we go into long position trades or buying assets with the intention of them going up in value for a short period of time, you have to understand that that's going against the natural trend. Now, we have the data to support this, but at a flip of a hat or a flip of a coin, it can, of course, reverse on you very, very quickly. So there's definitely high risk when you're going against the direction of the trend. So just bear that in mind if that is something that you're considering doing. It does mean that we have these typical areas that we're kind of looking for between 47 and 51 cent, a daily stochastic RSI and 8-hour stochastic RSI, indicating that we do have, some ground to cover here, and we've got plenty of room to grow the price of Cardano. But you do need to see the demand come in. And right now, that's not something that we're actually witnessing. If I throw the volume on here, and I just pull that, I don't know if I can actually clear this out somewhere. Let me bring this volume up here. That's it. So as you can see, right, we've moved the price of Cardano up a little bit. And what we've seen is basically the volume decreasing. Okay, so there's not exactly a lot of volume behind the trade. So this is also very evident from inside that stochastic RSI. When the volume drops down like this, you're able to move from oversold to overbought very, very quickly. And then what you'll find is there might be pockets of increased volume for selling and selling only. So, we want to be cautious, right? We are in a place at the moment where volumes are very, very low. And so, we are talking about a move up here that could take quite some time. It could take a week or so, or maybe even 2 weeks or 3 weeks just to move the price up to this area before we actually pull back down. Timing isn't something that I'm going to be able to get right in this space. I don't think many people can actually time markets at all, to be brutally honest. Very, very difficult to do and get that right. What we can do is be predictive over what numbers are going to actually relate with people who are, involved in cryptocurrency trading. So what we're doing here is mapping the psychology of the traders with the Fibonacci based numbers, which allows us to give out all of these kind of targets, approximate targets that we aim for when it comes to taking advantage of the swings in the market. So essentially, that's kind of where I land with Cardano. We're looking for a small push down somewhere between 41 and 42 cent. Then we're looking for a good surge upwards towards 47 and 51 cent. But there is, of course, still that potential move upwards where we can see, a potential scenario where we actually do move up higher, and we haven't finished our corrective phase just yet. We had the zigzag, we had this move downwards. It is a 5-wave structure, so I would expect only a 3-wave structural move upwards into that yellow box area between 47 and 51, and then an additional 5-wave drop to the downside afterwards. The trend is down. Going against the trend is quite risky, so do bear that in mind. And also remember that I'm not a financial advisor. Nothing in this video should be considered financial advice. Guys, I'm going to leave the video there. If you have found this video useful and informative, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With all that said, done, and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.